All right, we are live here with the post Greg Ambrosius, Will Miles live stream. Nelson Sousa's with Maddie and I. Matt is currently finishing his last few drags. Nelson, welcome to the Maddie Modica Variety Hour.
Nice. So we got Matt on a live stream, and he's outside smoking cigarettes.
Well, I mean, what do you expect from us, right? That's exactly what the public wants. They want to see Matt in his element. I got him walking down the stairs, lighting up, sitting down. Now he's gone dark.
He's pacing back and forth.
Nelson, where's your cohort? I can't believe he all of a sudden is unavailable.
He was tired tonight.
Oh boy,
long day.
I want to learn how to say bullshit in Greek. Now I'm going to write that in the group chat. So we are almost halfway through. This one is going. It's a little bit slower than usual, Nelson. This draft.
It is. So 45 minutes in, we're not even to the 10th round yet.
Yeah, I've seen drafts in the 18th round in an hour.
Yeah, for sure.
So Nelson, you did some different stuff tonight. Mixed it up a little bit.
I did. I think in drafts like this, where if certain guys don't fall that I absolutely love, I think it's an opportunity to change it up. So like Tyler Warren, he's new. He's not a guy that I love him this year, but I'm not like heavily targeting him there in the 5th round. But nothing really stood out to me, so I like him. I want to have him on some teams, so I figured I'd go with a different build.
Yeah. Matt and I have been pretty what we wanted to do, we were able to do. Whether it works out is TBD, but we loved getting those 2 running backs. We wanted to put Herbert with McConkey, obviously, and then getting Downs, a little late for him, 8th round. He's been going earlier than that. So
I was ready to take him in the 7th where we took Herbert.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe we made it.
So Matt, we're up in 2 picks. Nelson's up next, then us. So we got to decide what do you want to do here.
It's the top 2 guys for me. If
okay. Okay.
In the queue.
Who are the top 2 guys?
Hold on, Nelson.
I need to know this.
Nelson, Kate Otten, and Pat Fryermuth. Those are our top 2 picks next.
No. Come on. Who are the top 2 guys? I need to know.
Hold on. Was it Jeff Driscoll? Is he still playing in the NFL?
Okay, ready? I promise I won't take him.
Oh, Jesus. Come on.
If you tell me.
Trust the Portuguese man of war.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to tell me the top 2 guys, and I promise I won't take them. But you run the risk of me taking the guy just out of sheer luck.
Nelson,
well, you can take one of them.
Nelson, I don't take you as a guy who's so full of shit, but you're playing the role of excellent right now. No fucking way we're telling you who's on our queue. Are we that stupid?
Just tell me. I'm not going to take him if you tell me.
No.
Matt,
no?
Wow. Yeah, you're worse than the Greek.
Wow.
Hold on. No, Nelson, because your partner says that all I do is emulate his drafts, so you know who's in our queue already, because apparently all I do is copy what he does. So there's my counter. Bo Nix.
Okay.
I was never taking him. But now I know where we stand.
All right, Matt, you
I'm good with either one of the top 2. To me, it's got to be one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
I kind of like the second guy for the, what reason, but I'm fine with the first guy.
Yeah, I kind of like them both too. The first guy I think could have a breakout year, and because of who we got.
Okay, I'm fine doing that. I'm fine doing
that. Let's for our friend. Let's take a golden shower, Nelson.
Oh,
there you go.
Golden showers. Look at you. Played that bit perfectly, Paul.
Well, once in a while I hit it. Nelson, some different drafters tonight, which has thrown some curves across the board, right? The 2 quarterbacks in team 1. I kind of like when different people jump in because, guys like us who draft a lot, we get different looks, and tonight is giving us different looks.
Yeah, I've talked about it actually a few times that when you're drafting in June and July, it's usually the same cast of characters that you're drafting against. And it gets, after a while, it gets a little boring because not much, changes in terms of ADP. If you got a certain guy that's falling, you know, we know, when to pick off a guy that looks like a decent value. But once you have like some, new names introduced into the draft, then that's when things get shaken up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Nelson, I got a question for you. I know you had Warren, and I assume that was one of the reasons. But if you didn't have Warren, would you have taken the Downs there, or you just don't like Downs?
I would have taken Downs, but because I had Warren, that was the reason.
That's what I
why
assumed.
passed.
That's what I was like. I don't think he's gonna do it, but
Matty, going to fill up the queue a little bit just so we get prepared. But this is, now, so we'll go back to the teams at the end. This is, we're just trying to take a quick look at the builds. Team 7 for yellow, which is, I think, he's a great drafter. I think he was on the live stream with you. And then 4 green. So, he builds teams very similar. What do you think, Nelson? Team 9, 3 running backs, which, I sometimes like, but then his top receiver of Neighbors. Matt and I were like, problem there is you may not be able to start him. And now this guy's looking at Denzel Boston at wide receiver 3.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily. So I do think Neighbors is going to end up falling in drafts, unless something crazy happens and we get a lot of positive news on him. I think he'll drop. But when I start 3 running backs and things get cleaned up at receiver, Neighbors is the kind of guy that he's a true number 1 when healthy. So I don't mind the risk in these 350s and taking Neighbors. The thing is, I wouldn't have taken Price there. I think he's got to go take Godwin actually with that Price pick because he needs insurance. Thomas, Pierce, we don't really know what to expect from those guys. They're all, big play, highly explosive players, but I would have changed a couple of picks on it, but I don't think it's a bad build other than the Price pick.
All right, so we're coming up, Matt. We got a couple of guys in our queue. I think we're missing one position clearly. We've got some good depth, so just start thinking about what's coming up next. Nelson, for you, you're sitting. So Nelson, one thing I want to ask you. Matt and I were talking, and you have had the 4th pick a lot. I said maybe Nelson doesn't go Puka because you're a lot of Puka. We have a lot of shares because you draft a lot. But did you ever think for a second about going someone else tonight?
Honestly, no. I'm gonna, if I keep ending up with the 4th pick, so be it. And I'm gonna keep taking Puka, and from there, I will change it up and draft some different players with Puka. But
that's what I was saying. I was like, I think he's going to change the cast of characters with Puka. I don't think he's not taking Puka.
Yeah, listen, I agree. I wouldn't pass him up either. I just, it just dawned on me because, we obviously draft together a lot. I'm like, maybe. All right, so hold on, Matt. We're up next.
I would go with the top guy in the queue.
How about the top 2 guys in the queue?
I like the top 2, but I like the top guy for.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, he's a clear arc. Yeah.
What we could do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The second guy, I'm high.
Yeah, I do.
So, I mean, if you really prefer the second guy, then go that route.
No, I prefer the first guy, but if the first guy vanishes here.
For the reason that's obvious.
Oh, look, Will, I saw you shake your head at a couple. I kind of looked in the live stream, but I had the sound off. I just saw you shaking your head. I don't know, with that Calvin Johnson jersey, whatever the hell you're wearing tonight. So tell us, Will, why you were shaking your head. I don't know if you had some of that Taco Bell lettuce or something. You look like something was bothering you.
Are we taking the top guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here's a guy who, again, Nelson. Here's a guy who the Greek will say, "Spiteri, thank me. I told you about this guy, even though I guess I don't watch any football."
He's part of the stack.
Yeah. Oh, here's Will.
That's who.
Will, well, I'm with Mo Deacon tonight, Will, so I look a lot smarter than usual. So it's not. I haven't got a Stanford education overnight. I partner with the right people.
It was between Mitchell and Coleman, and I wanted Mitchell for the obvious reasons.
Yeah, you have the Chargers, quarterback and McConkey.
Wow.
So yeah,
but I do love Coleman as well.
Yeah, for me, I like doing that actually in some drafts is go Dobbins and Coleman together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I agree with that.
I don't know. Usually my style is I go for more of like the younger, exciting running back. But I don't know. It just depends on like the inventory. And the last couple of years, it's been like kind of like the boring veteran guys that are coming off either an injury or a down year. I think Dobbins is the kind of running back that gets me out of the gate the first few weeks. I expect Peyton to use him quite a bit. And eventually, if he gets hurt, I think Coleman has the skill set where he becomes early down guy. He goal line back, and he can even catch some passes.
Started raining the bastards.
So every stream I have, Nelson, someone's on the move. Wasowski's going to take a piss. This guy's going to put the garbage out and smoke a cigarette. Nobody can just fucking sit still for an hour.
It started raining.
It's got
to be mobile.
Everybody seems to be on the move on our streams. So we are coming up, Matt. Look at the queue. We might need to add the position we're missing at this point.
Yes, that we do.
That's pretty obvious, and that list is pretty shitty at this point. There goes one of the guys that would have been nice. Again, guy with McBride doubling up at tight end in the 11th round. Not the way I'd go, but
He doubled up on quarterbacks. So
yeah.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah. Oh man, I didn't realize you went back outside. I don't know what. Now you're back out smoking again.
I was in the yard, and now I had to go to the front. It started raining.
Maybe you need to get a nicotine patch from when we draft. You're fucking bouncing around, smoking butts.
After this one, I'll go upstairs.
Oh, he's got this first 9 rounds in Nelson, so now he's comfortable having a smoke. Interesting. I think receivers are pretty much dry where we usually see them. Tight end is pretty weak.
There's one guy I definitely want here.
So why the tight ends are weak? Well, you got Team 9 doubled and Team 1 doubled. Nelson, you got your tight end early. Well, now you got Team 2 that doubled. So a lot of teams running. What's the personnel when you have 2 tight ends? 11 or 12?
Yes, going heavy formation.
Heavy, yeah. So who do you prefer, Matty? And the guy top of the queue?
Let me take a look. No.
Yeah, I don't either.
It would be. See, I'm on my phone. I can't pull them up.
This is like a draft that the Bengal boys did the other night where they faded
I
tight
will
end.
tell you who I want. He's.
All right, so we're up. Make this pick, Matt. You
go with Chig.
Go with Chig?
Take the Chig then.
Yeah, take him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I would have went Goddard, but he went, so Chig was fine.
Yeah. So Nelson, we added a lot of depth across this team. We waited on tight end. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't like Chig as a tight end 1. That's a weakness. Even though I love the rest of our team, we definitely did not get a proper tight end 1, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I get the Mitchell pick, but I think I don't know, Dallas Goedert is probably pretty solid option. I like him quite a bit better than Okonkwo. Not saying that Okonkwo can't, get it done, there is that possibility but I like him more as like my tight end too.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce out from the screen for a second.
So yeah, I agree with you. Like there's guys
Started
I
raining.
like
Put them in the front.
I like Okonkwo, just like I like Kyler Murray, Nelson. I just don't like him as my first quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Paul. But I mean, you got good value with Downs. You wanted a third running back with Mason. Golden was there. You know, all the picks make sense why you push tight end back.
Yeah.
But I think in this format you can push it back, and I can say like, oh, I like Okonkwo better as a tight end 2, not a 1. But as long as you address it again, like, you know, with another potential upside type of pick or maybe a steady guy, I think you're fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's, we debate that, right, with your partner who, he has that mindset, right, that you can.
Yeah, Paul, I'm fine. I would have liked Goddard, but I'm fine.
Yeah, and I think
I'm big on Chig this year.
Yeah, I think you can, get away with it. And to be honest, I think in a draft like this, there were guys that fell to areas we didn't think they would fall, like the guys you mentioned, and we just went with we thought was better value versus filling a position.
Yeah, like looking at the board and looking at your team, there's nothing that like sticks out to me where I can second guess it and say, you probably should have taken tight end instead of this guy. All the picks are solid. So yeah, you go with it. So on this particular team, you guys draft a lot. On this particular team, Chig is the guy, but doesn't mean that like he's the only guy. You'll address it, with a second tight end.
Yeah, Matt, you might want to look at the queue. Tell me what you're thinking for the next pick, because we can go in a lot of directions at this point.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, there's a guy that's sticking out to me that you guys
there's
probably
a guy for me
take.
too. It's the fourth guy in the queue. I think is the slam dunk. Well, no, he's third.
Yeah, we were thinking about Baker. Yeah. Oh, the third guy in the queue, man? Yeah.
The third guy in the queue makes a lot of sense to me. I think Nelson, that's who Nelson's saying too.
Probably.
I would bet money that Nelson's going to say that's the guy.
I never thought you liked to bet, man. I'm shocked to hear you bet money. Nelson, can you believe that he actually would bet money on something?
Yeah, that's surprising, actually.
Yeah, I really, man. You learn something every day. This is cool, though, Thursday night. Nelson, you're streaming tomorrow night, I assume? I
am, yeah. Usual time and place, 10 o'clock. What's surprising to me, it actually sold out already. I've been selling it out the day of, but people had nothing to do on Friday night, so they
advanced sales are strong.
Yeah. Listen, now I think we're going to become the Sunday night slot. I feel like Brocious is like a network guy now. He's like running his shows. Like we're the Sunday night, you're the Friday night. But I think it's cool because you get different drafts, different views, and again, we said it last week on our show. The consistency of doing it like every week, you see how these boards evolve, and when camp starts in a week or two. Right now, we're really going to see things, starting to shake up for the next 6 weeks, until we run to the end of the month, end of August.
Yep.
All right. So, Matt, you're thinking third guy in the queue right now?
Third guy in the queue, without a doubt.
Right.
Would be. I look at it as being the right play.
You are on deck.
Right, we're gonna go Claiborne here. I think that's the way to go. We got Mason. If what's his name gets dusty or injured.
Yeah, we got 2 out of the 3 on the potential high-powered Vikings offense. So I think it's a good spot for defense here now with the Rams at this point.
I usually take them in the 12th round, but when there's players that I want that help my team with the structure, like Purdy. I wanted a second quarterback when I push it back. that far, and they come back around, I'll take them. They're my number one defense this year.
Yeah. Aaron Donald looks like he's coming back. I don't know how effective he'll be, but that's a great story.
Man, he looks like he's in pretty good shape. So
yeah, I wouldn't fuck with him.
Yeah,
and they could use him, the way they want. He doesn't have to play every game. They could just ramp him up throughout the year. Save him, for the second half for the playoffs to really get him going, full bore.
That's why, Nelson, Matt and I were talking about a guy we love and we're trying to get in this draft, Blake Corum. I think McVay, I think he's the best coach in football. I have a friend who's very close to him personally, and I just think he's a great coach. And I think that they're playing to win a Super Bowl, right? Which may not be great for fantasy in some ways, but Corum, I think, is going to have a very similar stat line to Kieran Williams this year because of the fact that he's going to use them both. What do you think?
We saw him eat into his carries last year. I think it's going to be pretty much a 50-50 split. The only difference is Kyron's going to be the passing down back. So he'll definitely get a few more receptions than Corum.
He will get more receptions, no doubt. But if you watch the end of the year, Corum was getting a catch or two a game down the stretch as his role was ramping up. I'm not saying he's going to be a pass catching back, but I think he will get some.
Thank you. That's my nephew saying loving the draft, Paul. And I don't know how my nephew has fucking trademarked Big Mike. Like, what is that TM, Mike? You got to text me. And how did you trademark Big Mike? Like that's a load of bullshit to me. But we'll talk about that offline, you and I.
That's nice. Paul's got the family coming in, hitting the like button.
Well, according to Chris the Hair Vaccaro, I have all my IT guys logging in to put viewership up, Nelson.
Yes, if we win the prime with this team, Paul, I'm going to take that money. I'm going to get some of that Soul Glow cream Vaccaro's using. I'm going to have my own.
I couldn't believe that picture yesterday.
Bitch. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I couldn't believe that picture, that hair yesterday. I'm like, well, this guy wearing a fucking wig when he comes back from Italy? All right, so, Matt, that's who I was hoping. We're up. What do you want to do here?
Did he just went? Yeah, Nelson took him, obviously.
How about the top guy? You don't want to put him at the position?
If you like him, you can go that route.
Well, or how about the second guy if you want to really think there might be a stack potential?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to that. I mean,
it's a lottery pick. It's our second tight end.
That's fine.
He's not bad, so let's take a shot. You never know with the team. He hasn't been talked about, Nelson, much at all.
The two guys that I wanted went. Once Love and Lloyd went, it was pretty much whatever.
But as much Nelson, we all love the Chargers' potential, and Gadsden is an interesting guy, and I feel like nobody's really considering him as a top tight end. What do you think?
It makes sense. I mean, they signed Njoku, and they got the Charlie Kohler kid that they're talking up, and they're saying that he's going to be involved probably as like a blocking tight end.
Yeah, I would think so.
Gadsden, that's not his game at this point, unless, he's worked on it this offseason. So I like his potential, though, especially with you having Herbert already.
Mm-hmm.
And with you taking Okonkwo, and tight end is kind of the question mark on the team. I think everything else is solid. I like the Gadsden pick because he showed that he's got a ton of upside if they decide to use him in the offense.
Yeah, I agree. I think, that, obviously the Chargers, a lot of people are high on them. Obviously as a Bronco fan, I'll always have an inclination against them, but it's all lining up this year, right? Again, it's all predicated on health. If they're healthy, with the new genius OC, they could be a very dangerous team.
But that's the thing; they always seem to be lined up, and then
something happens. They're like a better version of the Jets, the Chargers, Matt. Right? The Jets are like,
I would compare them to like they're the AFC version of the 49ers. The 49ers always get hurt too. They got good teams, and they get decimated by injuries.
But at least they have a long history of winning, unlike the Chargers.
Yes, I will. That's right.
Speaking of old 49ers, there goes Juwan Jennings. But, you know, it's all there for them if they can stay on the field. I saw something the other day, ESPN had that. Did you guys read those articles about the scouts ranking the top 10 at every position? It's interesting to see that stuff because I always love to see what a scout or an executive would say versus some reporter. And assuming that obviously it's credible. And I had Joe Alt top 10 as a tackle and Slater right below him, saying if Slater's healthy, he's in the top 5. So if these two guys stay on the field, you're talking about scouts looking at potentially 2 of the top 5 tackles in the football.
Well, look what happened once those guys went down. I mean,
but Matt, most teams lose your left and right tackle. Whoever they are, your team's going to be shit if you lose those starters.
I mean, that game against the Patriots in the playoffs, I mean, they had no shot.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they didn't have a different game plan going in, or at the half they didn't change it.
Yeah,
I want to say, didn't Hampton get hurt in that game?
Yes, he was. He had the
that was the night of the GST, right? I think that cheese dip was
that was. if I remember correctly, I thought Hampton coming in was a little banged up, maybe, and then he tapped out from that game. So I think that just changed everything.
They had a really tough end because they played Houston on that Saturday game where they opened up with the 2 big bombs late.
Matt, we're up next. Top 3 guys in the queue.
Hold on. Actually, I have one guy. I like the top guy. I think we can get him next round.
Okay.
I would say if Jaden Blue's there, we go Jaden Blue.
Okay. You like him over the second guy?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
All right.
Well, I think they want him on. They want him to be a part of this team this year.
So,
like you say, you love that offense. If he gets a pass catching role. Right. But if you don't like him,
no. I at this point, these are backup dart throws, right? So,
I'm just looking. It's coach speak right now. But they're saying he made a 180. They took the picture of all the offensive starters and stuff, like the core guys. He was in it, so that was a big. That's a big turnaround from last year, and I think they need that. He's a totally different back from Javonte. Even if Javonte went down, I don't think he's taking that role. That's Davis or Phil Maffa, but I think he's going to have that pass catching role if he truly has stepped up his game, matured. As they're saying, the coach said, we want nothing more. Me, the offense, offensive coordinator.
So the Beat Will Miles draft, which we're in the throes of, right? We have to give our friend Will some recognition. So he's got, Bijan, 4 good receivers.
Well, you could say former champ. That's how you
former overall champ Will
Miles.
Go. Let me not pay the proper respect. Will's got a nice team built. I mean, he went a little bit to the assisted living section with Kittle, Andrews, Kamara. I mean, I don't know if you're going to draft Joe Montana next, Will, to put on the rest of his team, but clearly, you go a little bit on the age. But I think Will started out great. We'll go through the teams, towards the end, but we're going to give a shout out to our friend Will Miles, who's a great guy. We'll see him, I'm assuming, at GST September 4th. Coming to do the drafts with his partner, Mr. Wasowski. Joe Montana is in the queue with Steve Young, Will said. Thank you. That's let me just, we're going to draft Dan Fouts to back up Justin Herbert, too.
I felt like Billy tonight, walking around the house, going in the yard.
But at least you weren't taking a piss like Billy was.
That I did not do.
I mean, Nelson, we're like, where are you going, Billy? He's strolling around. I thought he was going to bed. And he's going, I went to take a piss. I'm like, sure, let's leave your camera on and take a swim.
Yeah, exactly.
You are on deck.
All right, so we are after Mr. Sousa. Gott is up. Matt, the guy number 1 in the queue?
Yeah, I would just do that, I think.
Yeah, well, I didn't see you taking a leak on the live stream, so I would tend to agree with you that you do have better manners than Mr. Wasowski. All right, so we're gonna go the guy top of the queue.
Yeah, I think we have depth at running back and wide receiver. You know,
Well,
if
yeah,
you
I
want
think
to
we
wait, it's
remember
either him.
who's our number one pick, Matt.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, pairs up. By the way, Nelson, I had Kalen Black. I was thinking of taking him before Blue. I kind of think that it's good to have McCaffrey insurance this year if you don't have him. But we need a backup quarterback, and why not take Sammy D? We got JSN. So I don't mind
JSN, you get a free look.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point,
Okay. Nelson, so Williams, I know our good friend Frankie Momola, shout out to him, still pushing hard to get back to good health.
On the road to recovery.
Yeah, we love you, Frankie. Keep pushing. Frankie's been high on Williams. What was his deal in college? I didn't follow him in college. You guys know about what he produced in college?
Who are we talking about?
Williams from Washington. Because he's in a position, right, where a team doesn't really have a wide receiver too. And, there's a perfect place to step up and see action.
Yeah, the only way he gets hurt is if they sign Diggs. That just pretty much crushes him. But if not, he's got a shot.
That would be a real blow to his chances.
Yeah, I thought he was solid at Clemson, and I think it was a really good landing spot for him. When you look at the offense, besides McLaren, there's nobody there that has to command targets, so he can, we'll see how it goes here in the preseason, but I think he could jump in and be the second guy there. And if not, and they go, I think who's there that they were talking up in the summer, Van Jefferson or something like that.
I don't see that happening, but
I don't see it happening either. He was a third round pick. I'm a fan of his. I like him.
I just for the potential, Nelson, he's in a spot where if he has a great camp, he could be in a good position to produce. That's what you
exactly,
look for.
Paul. So there's a lot of rookies that they landed in spots where you're like, all right, they're kind of semi-buried on the depth chart. Whereas Williams, he could just win that wide receiver 2 spot outright.
All right, 100%. That's why I think he's an interesting guy. He's got to be drafted every draft and worth that's a smart flyer in my opinion.
Yes, I usually go with the A.D. Mitchell. That's my preference. I think that kid he's the best separator in.
You love him, man. You are.
Well, he is a talent. He's a knucklehead. And he's made some stupid bonehead plays, but he is a talent, and the Jets, I know they drafted Cooper, but I think he's going to get a shot early on. I mean, maybe he falls on his face and then you just cut him. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
you're taking swings here.
By the way, I'm not a fan of him, but I want to say this. The Geno Smith situation this offseason is media steaming up bullshit, right? Let's talk about this guy. The thing that happened with his girlfriend, no charges, non-event. The media made it sound like he drugged her, raped her, and threw her in a river, and literally nothing happened. Then he gets 2 speeding tickets. He's driving 70 to 45, which I do all the time, and everything else. And then you hear, he's ruining the offseason. What the fuck did he do? He did nothing. But the media, because they like to talk about any little event that these guys get involved in. They
got to write something. They got to pump up stories.
But they're guilty before proven innocent.
I will say this though. So Geno Smith is a 36-year-old quarterback, journeyman quarterback, who's coming off a terrible year with the Raiders, and although Paul, the things that he's being accused of, or the issues. It's just not ideal, right? It's just not an ideal offseason.
But Nelson, don't you think the Jets have him at quarterback because they really, not that they want to deliberately lose, the Jets are after a franchise quarterback in
Well,
the next draft.
Here's
So why
the
not
thing with
put one
last
of the
year.
worst ones in there, because it gives you a better shot at theirs between Manning and Moore and Sayin and the kid from South Carolina. There are potential franchise-changing quarterbacks. They have 3 first-round picks. Why not put an absolute dog like Geno in? Because he gives you a great chance to lose. Ask the Raiders. I think he's deliberately their starting quarterback.
But you got to look back at last year. That was just an atrocious offensive line. Add the Chip Kelly and the Pete Carroll. Like the Raiders this year are getting 2 guys back. One guy's going back to his normal position. The other guy, who's actually a good lineman, will be healthy entering camp. And they signed the guy from Baltimore. So last year, that was horrific. Chip Kelly, I don't know what the hell was going on there. And Pete Carroll, like, why bring Pete Carroll back? So, that was just an atrocious. I mean, and the craziest part is Geno threw for 362 yards on opening day at Foxborough. And they beat the Patriots. And then the rest of the year was Bowers got hurt in that game. And the rest of the year was dog shit.
So, Matt, sorry to jump in. We got to pick next.
I would go with probably the third guy.
Yeah.
I would think.
I really wish, Nelson, your buddy would wake up. I can't believe he magically doesn't feel well. All of a sudden, tonight we're picking right next to each other. He's talking his shit.
He was ducking you, Paul.
And then all of a sudden he has a bad piece of lamb or souvlaki and he fucking disappears into the dark.
He had a salad. It's that whatever thing's going on.
Oh yeah.
He's too rich to eat a Taco Bell. He'd buy the Taco Bell before he ate there. That guy.
No, he had a Greek salad and it just went wrong.
Yeah, maybe some bad feta cheese. Steve, I can't believe you should wake up and jump in here, but you probably petting that purple rat or whatever that thing you had on the street the other day.
I mean, for me, it's Dulcich, but you
yeah.
can go with different rat if you want.
Yeah.
That's what Vaccaro's going to look like in a couple of months. Grow out a stash.
Oh boy, we're waiting for the arrival of that guy to the draft. Boy, coming with a lot of fire.
He thought nobody would see him in the lobby.
That was great.
He
Great.
Thought he could hide out.
I don't know, but he might have Taylor Swift at the bar, so he may be too busy to be drafted. That guy. Who the fuck knows what's next? And then Nelson, he's sitting there asking you for the ingredients on the sausage croissant today. I'm like, what is this guy? The fucking FDA all of a sudden?
Yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, oh, I didn't know you were an inspector. Sorry about that.
He's sitting there questioning the ingredients of what you deliver to your customers. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize. I was ready to go into a work meeting, and I'm like, this guy's pulling dextrose and other processed ingredients. That was we always hit a new level on that chat. Today we were breaking down the ingredients.
Yeah,
that Troy Franklin, the ghost of Troy. I think the Broncos trade him in camp.
Yeah, I think they're gonna make a move. They got to clear out some space.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a catching problem.
I will say it was nice having a bacon, egg, and cheese on a burger. I haven't had that in quite some time.
It cost you.
And then I really didn't need anything the rest of the day.
Though, Matt. What's it cost you? You said $9?
$9.75 for a bacon. Oh, excuse me, a sausage, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel.
Oh man!
Then another like $3
of mine.
Yeah,
for that price.
The last time I went to Dunkin' Donuts, it's right by my house. They burnt my croissant. I got like a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant. I was pissed. I'm going to tell them, I know Nelson.
There you go. Yeah, down in Tennessee. They're
I'll be like, wait till corporate finds out.
Said, listen, pal, I know the ingredients on this shit. You better make me a new one.
I'm thinking the top of the queue, Paul.
Yeah, that's why I put it up there. We gotta do that, I think. We'll see what Nelson does first. Nelson, you got the Rams defense. You got no kicker. You're pretty much you can do whatever you want at this point.
Yeah, kicker's going to be my last pick. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to.
I will let Nelson think through that. So if our top one goes, Matt, which it didn't, so we'll take it.
Yeah, just take. I think you take that.
Yeah, we need
I I like the Vikings defense too, but we got Packers and stuff, so we're not gonna. I don't want to start them after
So we'll go. I think. Do we go kicker last round? Matt?
Yeah, we'll go kicker last round.
What do you think of the top three?
I would have said the top three before. I like the top two or the fourth guy.
Really interesting.
I mean, I think one and two are just smart plays.
Yeah, so do I. I think it's one of those two guys up there.
I like four because it's when we get there, we can talk.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
I'll explain my reason.
So Nelson,
we can talk about it right now.
Nelson, you're like the
one and two. We're talking about 49ers kicker and Rams kicker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then four, I'm gonna say, is maybe Patriots kicker.
No, we would do that too, Nelson. We're Nelson. We're friends.
We got to leave
right?
that for you.
Friends don't do that to friends. We won't.
I actually left you guys the Patriots defense in the main event. I got Steve picking right next to me, and he took Baltimore instead of New England. I was like, Nelson's
He
not
took
gonna be happy.
Baltimore over New England.
I'm like, Nelson is not. I think I took the Steelers because they opened up with the Falcons at home. So I was like, at home. But
look at the last guy in the queue. That would be just for shits and giggles.
I can't see because I got
I don't know,
my iPad only goes like 5 deep.
Maybe Steve isn't feeling well because if he's taking Ravens over New England and not feeling well, doesn't want to join the live stream, he never misses an opportunity.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Or Nelson, just maybe his wife is finally clamping down. This guy's been drafting since February 3rd. So maybe she's like, you got fucking 3,000 teams. Maybe, maybe he's forgot his wife's name and he's trying to go on a date or something, or at least watch a show on Peacock because
that's true.
I mean, that could see, but no man will admit that he's being clamped down. All of a sudden his stomach hurts. He's ready to jump in at 5 o'clock and magically get sick by 7 o'clock. I'm calling bullshit there, Stevie.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit that, I think it's the wife, but, from a guy who's divorced, I can say these things. I got no wife to beat the shit out of me. All right. So I like Nelson. The other night I took a combo of Black and James.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have I think you've been taking Black a little bit. You think Black is the right handcuff for McCaffrey?
I think he's the passing down guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think James, it could be an ugly committee just in general. But I want the guy that could catch passes in that offense.
Yeah, I agree with you. He was very good in college too. And, I think the coaches really talked him up when they drafted him.
They took him pretty early. He's an older guy. Also, I think for them to take him that early, knowing that they already have like a couple of young guys there, I think the ship sailed on Garendo. I always loved his talent. He
was fun.
Yeah, I was excited for him, and then he just can't stay healthy, unfortunately.
I think that must have been like my most added and dropped guy like 2 years ago. Me and my partner Jason Anthony, and we was adding that guy, dropping him. I've spent so much money.
It's funny how these guys that we won't even draft, but in the middle of October, you're throwing $400 bids on them that you would even think about at this point. Like, they're out there, but you just, you don't obviously know who they are, but Isaac Garendo is a great example of that.
Yep.
Oh, stud Ferguson. I have 18 shares of him.
In baseball, Nelson, that guy for me has been Nathan Church. I bid a lot. I got him. He got hurt, went back, chased him again. I'm like, what the fuck am I spending all this money on?
Yeah.
It is crazy when you get fixated on somebody and like, if you cut him and then he has a good week, you're like, oh my God.
And you look at the end of the year, he's got like 11 home runs. I'm like, why?
Yeah. Why did I spend all this money?
Because he hit 3 in 2 nights. That's probably why. Oh my God, this is the breakout guy.
Yep.
I mean, the top guy if he's there.
Yeah, I think so, Matt. That's our guy.
I mean, I don't care. We got 4 tight ends.
So team. Well, there's a lot. Yeah. Well, the team.
Oh, you're going to go 4 tight ends?
Well, I mean, if he doesn't take Barner, we get the free look. I'll go that route.
Yeah, I'm actually. I think I'm going to go solo tight end in this one.
You think Barner?
How about the top guy, Matt? How about the top guy?
We got. If that guy ever played on our team with all the investments we paid up on receiver, then we totally screwed the pooch.
Yeah. So.
But at least like with this guy, if he had, I really like Chick. Look at all the targets that Zach Ertz, he was a statue. He had 7 touchdowns 2 years ago. He had like 4 or 5 last year in 13 games.
Oh, there he goes. Nelson, we were considering Jerry Jeudy, so Mike Sanda can send me a nice tweet.
What did Sanda? We need Sanda in here to track his ADP.
Yeah. I was going to say, if he went undrafted, I would probably send a defibrillator to Sanda's house immediately, make sure he's still alive. His 2 favorites, Dontavian Wicks and Jerry Jeudy, have finally found their proper home in the 19th round.
I mean, I just like having the free look guys, these tight ends, and stuff. You get a cut, most of these guys, these last couple of rounds.
Anyway. Oh, yeah. So, guys, we'll go through the teams after we're done here. So we're now hour and a half drafts, which is longer than I've seen. But again, we got some new guys in here. Some guys using the clock up, which obviously they're entitled to. But this is one of the longer drafts by about 15, 20 minutes, quite frankly. Matt, do you prefer what kicker do you prefer? Because that's where we're at.
Hold on.
It's got to be.
I mean, I don't really have the guy I usually take would be the 4th guy, who would be the Steelers guy. That's who I usually go with. I mean, but the Vikings guy is good. I mean, there's a bunch of them here. I mean,
I like the Ravens guy.
Nelson's going to take the Patriots.
That's who I like.
Patriots guy.
Yeah. If you want to take the Rams guy because we get the free look, I get that. That makes sense.
You are on deck.
So, I mean, we want the free look. We can take the Rams guy.
Will, you're a champion, an overall champion. You get to walk up in front of everyone in Vegas, and you're complaining about getting sniped on fucking Jerry Jeudy? I mean, come on. You can't pretend. That's like you lose credibility as a champion when you're worried about Jerry Jeudy. You should.
Right now, it'd be like, come on, rookie. Jeudy goes in the 15th round.
Yeah. I mean, come on, Will.
You passed them up 4 rounds.
Yeah, Will, you got too much summer vacation. Go back and teach summer school or some shit. What's the matter?
You got too much summer vacation.
Yeah, you gotta go get out of the fields and get back in the classroom.
I tell you, that was a great movie back in the day. I was a teenager, but summer school, Mark Harmon. I was always a fan. Oh, the slow prime time is filled.
All right, so I'll go with the top one, just because they'll hopefully score a lot of points. The Rams. All right, so we'll go back and let me adjust the board so we can go back to the teams.
That was a smart play for the free look, but and even in this format and in the other format, like the guy in the Steelers, I know it's a new coaching staff, but he's always hitting over 50 yarders. He's money, and nobody ever takes him. I'm just always shocked. I get him
pick him up on Saturday if the Rams kicker doesn't.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm just saying.
Put up like 9, I think.
I'm like, why does nobody ever take him?
What's the over/under of you playing him versus finding a different kicker? Like 8.5.
Yeah, I like kickers on. I mean, again, I think kickers dime a dozen. You can play around with that at the end. But here's my nephew, who's a huge Steeler fan. Yes, Big Mike trademark. He is a great kicker. He's about the only offense your shitty team usually has is your kicker.
Big Mike. I love that he trademarked Big
My nephew's the best. He's getting married. My nephew, so he got engaged. He's getting married. Joining the club. He's a great.
Nice.
He's one of my Vegas crew that comes every
I'm
year.
coming up on 24 years in
Oh, yeah,
in a
wow.
couple of
How about you,
months.
Nelson? How long you married?
24.
Wow, both of you.
Yep.
Inspirations to us all. All right, we're almost done here. Caleb Douglas, Keenan Allen. Oh, wow, we're really.
That's actually not a bad pick if he gets signed by somebody.
Keenan Allen.
We got Keenan Allen. We got Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I mean,
I like Keenan Allen better than Cup. I'll say that.
I'm surprised. Will Miles didn't take these old retreats at the end. All right, so
I just hope Keenan Allen doesn't end up in Indianapolis. That's I pray every day.
So the draft is over, which again went a little bit longer. So let's start looking at the teams. Number one.
Yeah, I really haven't looked at anybody's team.
Yeah, number one. This is a different approach, right? Obviously, Gibbs. I've seen a couple of guys draft McBride earlier than some of us would, but then goes with running backs. Doesn't take his first receiver till Michael Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean, but when you go Drake May and Matthew Stafford and 5 and 7, and you have one receiver through that time, I don't know. That's just hard. I know you got McBride.
This is a tough build to win with. Nelson, what do you think?
I mean, how nice are we being on the show?
Listen, I was told by one of our friends. He said, "Paul, you're being too nice in your critiques," and I said, "Well, I'm not. Listen, I don't care if people shit on my drafts or to me, this is fun. I think we should be honest. This team, number one, it would be a miracle if they won this league.
So for me, like this is a fucking mess.
I like that.
Once you go Drake May, like you can't take another quarterback for a few rounds. So I don't understand the Stafford pick with May, especially that early in the 7th round. I don't understand the 15th round pick in Brissett once you have May and Stafford. So that might actually be even more perplexing than the Stafford pick is taking a third quarterback.
I'm thinking maybe Best Ball was on the mind.
Guys, let's do this. Right now, so then Colby Parkinson.
And then you take Parkinson once you have Goddard and McBride. Like, even if you say you want the free look, you got McBride and Goddard. Like, you can't spend a pick on another tight end. So that's the struggle for me. I look at it as like Wilson, Robinson, Dobbs, Diggs, like all, decent complementary receivers, but them as like my starting 3, it's just you're asking a lot.
He did get to 8 wide receivers though.
As much as I don't like it, right? And guys, when we talk about drafts, right? I mean, listen, we're not always right, but we do a lot of these, and
we're looking at this structurally too. I mean,
right? And we're all experts in NFFC drafting, right? But when you have to start 3 receivers, you hurt yourself by waiting as long. However, he's got a couple of guys like Gibbs, McBride, Drake May, Nelson, who you love. There'll be some weeks where this guy's going to put up points. There'll be some games where you're like, oh shit, this guy's got points. He'll probably play me that week. But in the long term, right, the way it's built isn't great. So, by the way, guys, we do have sound effects. And if you remember this show, this is my grade on this draft. The fucking gong. First gong for that draft there. So we have a little bit of sound effects on this high-tech stream. So, again, I don't love it. But now the real team that we have to look at is the Will Miles build. Oh, Dave Martino, another New Yorker, saying you're being nice again. Dave, you're right. But I did give it the gong at the end. So let's look at former champion and swell guy Will Miles' team. Nelson, you go first.
So when I'm going Gibbs and Robinson, that's my typical structure for a team is 4 wide receivers to go with either Gibbs or Robinson. So I like that. I'm not really going to talk necessarily about the players. It's just more of
I do like all 4 players, though. Those
the
4
build.
receivers.
Judkins there as his number 2 running back, gets his 5th receiver with Reed, gets a nice deal on Daniels. Structure wise, like it's well put together. I think he took a one too many old guys for my liking. Kittle coming off an injury. You got Andrews, you got Alvin Kamara. I tend to shy away from those guys. Like after like rounds 10, 11, 12, I want young guys on my team.
Upside flyers. Yeah, I'm with you.
I want flyers. I want either I hit a home run or triple, or I strike out with a guy, and I'm dropping them and moving on to the next guy on the waiver wire. So, giving Will a little bit of critique, that's what I'd probably say. The structure, very well done. Just a few too many old guys for me.
Yeah, Matt.
No, I like it. I actually like it a lot. I like those 4 receivers. I'm in on all 4 of those, and I have tremendous Parker Washington love. So to cap it off, and Judkins as your 2 is super solid. Like I said, Judkins is a great runner. My only concern with Judkins is if he ever starts catching some more passes, then he's going to really smash.
I like the team. I know that the Bill crew is high on their 9th round pick, Rico Dowdle. So, for them, that's a potential starting running back if Judkins, fails, or having a guy to come in there. I know I'm not a big Kittle guy. I know he's great when he plays, coming off a big injury, but you did back him up with Andrews and took Strange. I love the Daniels value in the 8th round. I thought that was just a smart pick. Plus, he falls to him. Nelson, this happened to you in a draft recently. Daniels falls, and you had McLaurin, and I think Will was sitting in the same spot where you guys, you hit. I think Daniels and Herbert back to back when you had maybe even McConkey and McLaurin, something like you double tapped and double stacked.
Can we talk about the 6th receiver? Like I like him more than I think most. I don't think Nelson's really in on him, but McMillan. When you look at his finish to the 2024 season, where he was averaging almost like 20 points a game, and then last year he came back from the injury. Nobody did nothing really that last month for Tampa Bay. It was pretty pretty awful. But he did have that one game where he blew up, where everybody was there, and he blew up for 124 yards. So I think he gets kind of crapped on a little too much, or pushed to the side. And I think he's another guy just to watch in camp, because I think they really do like him. And, he made it back from a serious injury last year.
So overall, Will, I think, obviously good drafter, a competitive team. On a team 3, I'll start here. Obviously, Jamar is a chalk pick. Achane, McMillan, Josh Allen. We saw Josh Allen in the 5th round the other night, moved him up to the 4th. Odunze, who's a polarizing player, he usually sits between the 5th and 7th round. Adding another Bear with Swift, Pittman, Metcalf, two Steeler. I think that he's got a lot of guys on this team. Nobody, I love Jamar Chase to death. Josh Allen, QB1. Everyone else is okay. Like, this is a very conservative type of draft where you're taking guys that, they've been around, they're proven. I don't see, except for maybe, if Tet's quarterback figures it out, which that's the risk there. This team has a lot of good, okay guys, but it doesn't jump at me like, wow, there's tremendous value here. So that's my take on it, on this team. What do you guys, Nelson, what do you go first?
I like the Allen Kincaid pairing.
Okay. Yep.
I don't mind Swift in the 6th round. I think he's going to be solid. Like he's probably, outside of an injury, like he's going to be solid. Like he's not I don't think he's going to bust in that offense.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not really going to focus on the early guys. I'm not an Achane guy this year, but I'll reach a limit where I'll be like, all right, I'm interested in him, but McMillan I'm fine with. I don't really like Bryce Young, but I'm still fine with McMillan. It's pretty much what you said, Paul. You summed it up. It's like a solid team, but
What
it's
about
not like
this?
doesn't
Yeah.
stick out.
Right.
What about instead of DK if he took Downs? I think that makes it a lot just from the player because now you just really like loading up on the two Steelers. I'm just not that big. I think structurally he did it fine, especially by taking Allen, by taking a quarterback in the 4th round. You know, I think he pretty much stayed on plan. But I think if he puts like Pittman Downs or breaks that up or like Jaden Reed Metcalf or something, I just But
I
maybe
mean,
I'm wrong.
to me, obviously we picked him. I like him. Golden over JCM, right? When you got these older receivers, with the guys in the Steelers, Golden's got the upside shot. He was a top 15 pick in the draft last year. He could be the type of guy that breaks out. But notice one thing before we close on his team: no backup quarterback. Now, granted, you have Josh Allen. You're not really going to ever, hopefully, never play your backup quarterback, but you rarely see a team that doesn't draft a backup quarterback. So that's one thing that kind of jumped at me. He double tapped Seattle's offense.
Yeah.
Actually, Seattle's kickers, he's pretty good.
Yes.
Guy.
Wasn't he like number 1 last year?
Yeah, he's pretty good. So, again, I think we all kind of agree on team. So, team 4, Nelson, before we talk about your team, are you happy with it? Anything you regret? I mean, listen, you're the best drafter probably in the market. But, and you know what you do. But you did mix it up. So, anything you would do differently, or this kind of went the way you preferred it?
No, I didn't think I forced anything in order to mix it up. When, like I said earlier, when things don't fall perfectly, like for me, like ideally in the 5th round, Carnell Tate makes it to me. A Scatabo or David Montgomery makes it to me. I'd be interested in those guys. But once they're gone and off the board, I'm interested in Tyler Warren because he's a guy that I actually do like a lot this year. But in this format, I don't have much of him. So.
Nelson, would you say he's like the Rashee Rice of tight ends? Because he just gets so many easy targets. He's getting those short passes too. I mean, that's the way I look at him. I think he's probably going to lead them in targets.
I mean, some might say that he's the number 1 wide receiver on the team with Pittman gone. So you got, Downs and Pierce, but it could be, like you said, it could be Warren that's leading in targets. So I wanted to mix him in, but I wasn't going to force him in any draft. And I thought tonight was the perfect opportunity because there was nobody sticking out to me.
Nelson, I had the I think 3rd pick in a draft we did the other night, and I had the Chase at the top. I always like to put him together with Burrow. That's just the thing that I'm going to do at that slot. I ended up taking Warren in the 6th round on that turn, right? And I just, like you, I looked around and said, this is the best player right now, right? In terms of, target share, upside. He was great until Daniel Jones got hurt last year. And he can catch touchdowns. He catches a lot of balls. I just think that, a savvy drafter sees the value in him at the right time. And that's usually in that box of 3, 4, 5, like right where you took him and where I took him. I like the pick. And again, I think he's someone you got to mix into your teams because he really could have a tremendous year if he stays on the field. If him and his quarterback, right? Again, so guys, most players turn to shit if their number 1 quarterback goes out. There's very few guys that survive their number 1 QB going down. And that's what hurt him last year.
I really like the top 2. I think I had that combination at least 3 times, the Puka Walker. But I mean, everything else, was spot on. I do love the 7th round pick of Jaden Higgins. He's a guy that I'm really excited for this year. We saw the flashes last year. I think he's one of those guys soon as that, cliff is coming, you want to be able to grab because,
And lastly, on you, Nelson, you always build. I like to call a quarterback room, right? I never see you going up. You take May a little bit high at times, but you're typically right sitting between rounds 10, 13, 14, and you're always hitting two quarterbacks, right? That seems to be kind of one of your MOs when you draft, and you did that again here with Nix and Purdy.
So years ago, when Danny Dimes was still with the Giants, I was a big fan of his, and I was drafting him everywhere. And on a lot of teams, I pushed quarterback, my second QB back. I would take Danny Dimes, and I wouldn't really double tap it. On one team, it was a primetime team that ended up finishing really high in the overall. I had Danny Dimes, and then immediately right after, I took Dak Prescott, and Dak had a monster season that year. And ever since then, it was kind of like lesson learned. I feel like I always try to learn lessons from the prior year, and my lesson learned was like, listen, yeah, you got to draft like you've got it right, like you're taking the right players. I totally get it, but I also know that this is a flawed game, and I know that I'm not perfect. So I look at it as when I push it back, Josh Allen is kind of bust proof, okay?
Yeah.
But when I push the quarterback back and I go in this range, I'm going to take two pretty good ones, or that I think are two pretty good ones and good offenses for that reason. I want insurance, and I want insurance just in case I'm high on a guy. I think he's going to be fine. And then the offense is not what we thought. And I've got that other guy, especially in this format. I think quarterback matters.
I mean, I don't know. I've always liked to have, I'm not saying you pay up on two, but I always like to have two good quarterbacks. I know the year me and Andy Saxon won the New York Super, we had Deshaun Watson, and then we took Pat Mahomes, and Mahomes went crazy. The year we were number one in the Classic all season, and we finished second overall in the shootout. I drafted that. I took Cam Newton in the 9th and Lamar in the 10th, and Lamar went off. So you just give yourself two outs. Like I would never do like what Team 1 did, 5th round and 7th round, especially if I had like a Drake May. But I think usually. Like I really wanted Jordan Love for our team.
What we built. Yeah, that was our guy.
I thought we could get him in the 14th, but it was not to be. So maybe, but
we got sniped by the beat Will Miles himself.
Yes,
in that one. So again, Nelson always has a good team, right? Just to recap, I mean, it's just interesting to see how he goes about it and the thought process, because again, Nelson, the top drafters, if not the top drafter in this format. Team 5, which was us. I'll just go first, Nelson. We'll talk to you, Matt and I. It kind of went the way we wanted it when we were discussing Matt was putting Kenneth Walker in the queue for discussion before Ibuka. I wanted Ibuka or a Devontae Smith, actually. Just looking at boards, I see that, he's the one guy that would have fallen, and he did. But after that, the running backs get a little tough, and I feel like if you don't bust up the wide receivers in the 5 slot, we're going to be a little bit compromised. We've seen drafts. The other night we did that one, right, guys? The whole right side was
20 out of 24 were yellow.
Right. So, I love Ibuka. We've talked about him, Nelson, a lot. Obviously, JSN. We were thinking about Waddle or McConkey, right? And for me, as a Bronco fan, I was like, oh well, but Matt likes McConkey. I like McConkey too. I
like Waddle as well. It was
We think McConkey's gonna be a different position. So and then Watson. It was Watson or Burden. Also, you took Burden, so we were debating. Those two were the two guys we had. So
I was kind of happy we got Watson on the fact that I have so much Burden, and I have a substantial amount of Watson, but I wanted more, so that kind of worked out. But just going back to our second round pick, I would have been fine with Zay Flowers there. That
Yeah, we got him
Martino
too.
took,
Yeah.
2 picks before us, or the Slim Reaper. Those were the 3 receivers that I wanted. One of those, and Kenneth Walker was if we were going running back, it would have been him.
And then
Walker was an option for you
yeah,
guys?
he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he was.
So-
Nelson, yeah, he was for sure.
So
He's my most
I
known
always like
player
to
in the first
do-
2 rounds.
I always like to do these like trade-offs, like 2 for 2. So let me ask you this. Looking back, do you like Ibuka with Trevion Henderson, or do you like Walker with Parker Washington?
I would like Walker with Parker. For me personally, it would be Walker Parker. But I'm super high on Parker Washington.
I would go the other way.
Okay.
Because I think that Ibuka has tremendous upside.
But
I think
actually,
Trevion Henderson has tremendous upside.
yeah, but I'm actually happy for this because I have so much Parker Washington. So switching it up, and like I said, Walker in the first 2 rounds is my most owned guy. So,
But Nelson, that's what what makes you so good at this. Like you look at those things because, right? If we go running back in the 2nd round,
well, I said if we
We're
don't
going
take
3
Walker,
receivers
Nelson's
after,
taking
right.
him. But that was the right pick in my opinion. Like I said, I have 3 Puka, Walkers. Like Walker's going at this late in the 2nd round. I think that's too far. That's all.
so then we ended up. I like Tootin as much as Henderson, and we ended up with both of them. Matt wanted to pair McConkey with Herbert, and I kind of agreed that I said, this is the time if we want one of those top tier quarterbacks. If we don't grab one now, there might be a chance where we miss out. So we went with Herbert, and then we didn't think Downs would be there. And then I
did not think Downs would be
there. Yeah, I liked in the middle there that, again, at the peril of tight end, those 4 mid-round picks I just added, to me, great depth guys for us. But, again, we've sacrificed a Goddard. We sacrificed a Kincaid, right, for the depth. So that's the one thing going back where that was a decision that, we could do differently, could work out because we drafted 150 tight ends after that. But
I'm actually not that worried, especially in NFFC. I mean, I'm really high on Chig. If you just look at what Ertz has done in the past 2 years as a statue, he's been peppered with targets. He's been a end zone target. Chig is a phenomenal athlete, and I think he's going to be used. I want him to be my number 2. That is our weak spot, but for the trade-offs that we made, I'm glad we went Jordan Mason instead of Dalton Kincaid. I like Kincaid, but I thought for having Henderson and Tootin, Mason was the perfect pick there.
Yeah. So
if
by the
Henderson
way,
doesn't have a good game opening night, we start Mason. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It gives us that out.
By the way, got to shout out to our boy Josh Bowling, who's a great
Yes.
guy, who's been a supporter of ours. We support his work. Thanks, Josh, for staying up late. I'm sure your buddy Dan Jewett's probably
But can I just say
Or
one thing about the 5?
sleeps
'Cause
in.
I
Okay.
seem to always get the 5th pick. Like Nelson always gets the 4th. And it seems like nobody wants the 5th pick. What I like about it is in that 2nd round, it's either if a running back falls that I like, I get that, and I'm starting with either JSN or Amon-Ra. Or I could pick from Devonta Smith, Ibuka, or Flowers, whoever I prefer that day. So I do like the 5 spot.
So Nelson, now that you've heard our brilliant logic for our team, and now you can tell us what you think.
I don't have anything negative to say about the team. I think that structurally it's built well. I understood the thought process behind every pick. I always tell myself that, like, as you're drafting, you got to tell yourself a story. It's got to make the team's got to make sense. That's why, like, when I look at like team 1, I'm like, I don't understand the story, that type of thing. So I think it was put together very well. There's no one that I dislike necessarily on the team. So yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
Oh, that's good. No, we're happy with it. Let's go on.
All right, moving on before he finds something.
Yeah. So that's great, Nelson. Great. Thanks for the applause. Now let's go on to Team 6. No, but thanks. Again, we're happy with it, the way it fell. But again, the one thing, as I'll say, and I know you do this, and Matt and I did this, and for people just getting into these drafts, regardless of how much volume you do or how much money you spend, it doesn't matter. If you're doing one or two of these things that we're doing and all the streams, these are about like just how people go about this. So listen, $350 is a lot of money to a lot of people, right? And if you're going to spend that and join these leagues with the chance, just give yourself the best shot, right? And build something that will make you competitive. And that's what we're doing here, right? We're competing against each other, but we're sharing, because at the end of the day, you're going to draft and have fun, but these are the things that just make you more competitive. And I think that we've gotten a lot of feedback. I know, Nelson, you get it from people all the time. I mean, people have been fans of your work for years. Maddie and I are starting to get, tweets and texts from people saying we're learning, actually watching you guys, especially the merger, right, with the other players. They're like learning this format from these things. So we're glad we can do that. And again, guys, this is just about giving you other insight, and it doesn't matter how much games we play. If you're going to do 1, 2, 3 of these, then take your best shot and don't go in and fuck up the draft, quite frankly, right? That's what I think these
don't shoot yourself, before it even starts.
Right. So speaking of which, looking at Team 6, 3 running back build.
Can I take this one over? Team 6?
You're up first, man.
I really, if you're going to go 3 running backs, forget the players, but I like the way they did it. They took the 3. I actually like the 3 backs they took. I think Barkley, it's all about pass catching for me. If he with AJ Brown gone, I do think he is going to get a bump. But you got Evans, who I still think has one more year left, and I think he's going to catch a ton of touchdowns. You're getting the 4th overall wide receiver in the middle of the 5th round. My only worry is Cam Ward, but I think this is a really good price on that. Lemon, I think he's more of a guy for later on, but still, he's another first-round pick. Then you got Godwin, a solid veteran, but he went 5 out of 6 picks wide receiver. So even if you don't like the guys, he did it right. He made sure he pounded the wide receiver position. He didn't take, a tight end if a tight end fell or a quarterback. He did take Caleb, but he took him later on. And like I said, he stayed with the process, and he got 5 out of 6 picks that were yellow.
Nelson,
I would have liked Hurts instead of Caleb, because at that point you've got Saquon and Mekhi Lemon. So you're invested in the Eagles offense. So
I definitely agree with that. I didn't, but I think but going 3 running backs, I think that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah. I'm not as much on, again, I say this on our streams, I'm not a big rookie receiver guy to rely on as my receiver 3. So I know Lemon people like, he's maybe the second option. Well, really not. Barkley.
Yeah, but you can even forget Lemon as like having to start him. If it's Evans, Tate, and Godwin, I don't think that's with the 3 running backs that he has. I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, so he really becomes your kind of depth receiver at the top of that. And he got Worthy too. Overall, I like Team 6. I thought he did.
But he's right. Job. Like you go Hurts with that. If you're gonna, you got Barkley that if he gets the dump off, takes it.
I would have. So I think again to Matt's point, I actually like the structure of the team, because if you're gonna go 3 running backs, I think it needs to kind of look like that in those middle rounds with the receivers, and then try to take a good quarterback. For me, I prefer to try to hook up my quarterback with a receiver that I have on the team, because if this team makes it to the playoffs in the shootout, the fastest way to accumulate points is if your quarterback and your wide receiver are involved in a shootout and they're putting up points quickly. If it's, so like Hurts with like Saquon and Lemon, late in the year, if Saquon's getting some more passing work with no AJ Brown, I think that works.
Even a Purdy Evans would have been nice.
Yeah. The other thing I would have done with Hurts is pair him with Purdy, because now I have McCaffrey and Mike Evans.
That's right.
So
Yeah. Especially that McCaffrey.
I would have just double tapped it, basically. So I probably pass on. Trying to think here. I pass on Aaron Jones and I just take Purdy there, and I take him a little bit earlier. Like I got him in the 12th round. I just take him in the 10th round and pair him with Hurts.
Yeah.
And now I've got like it's like perfect. Like I got my running back with a receiver with both my quarterbacks.
Yeah, you solid team. I agree with you guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, just say he didn't take Caleb there, and he took a Pitts, Laporta, or Fanning. One of those three guys went Worthy, and then Purdy. That team is looking like beast.
Yeah. So speaking of which, on to Team 7. We know a great drafter.
Yes, he always comes out.
He's got the beautiful yellow and green. I mean, you can't argue with those top 4 picks. All guys that go pretty much there. Flowers fluctuates between the 211 spot and where he took them. What was it? 2?
I was thinking of taking Flowers.
Flowers is entrenched second rounder. I think if he slips to the 3rd, it's rare, and if he slips to the 3rd, it's early 3rd. Higgins, again, sits in that middle of the 3rd round consistently. I know we have different opinions on DJ. I like DJ more this year. I'm not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy, but he is in a great spot. I know Matt has it out for him because his team paid a lot. But as your 4th receiver, there's nothing wrong with that. Then he went 4 running backs. Nelson, you could talk about Jonathan Brooks. Actually, Matt and I would have probably taken Montgomery if Dave didn't take him.
We would have taken him. But I love the Montgomery Brooks pairing.
Yeah.
That you get the veteran and the up and comer that could really break out. And then I love the White and Kenny Gainwell combo there. Like he got his 4 wide. I mean, maybe you could have took a wide receiver if you want to say you get the extra one. But I like those 4 wide receivers. And I love the Fanning pick.
Yeah. If Fanning was our pick, if he was there instead of Mason. So we would have went tight end. Fanning was our target, and he was falling, and then we missed him by 2 picks. So I love Team 7. I think great job as always.
And he's got T-Law quarterback.
Yeah, he got great. So his first 11 picks are good picks, great build. I added some good depth guys that I like. I like Trey Harris. I like Kyler as my backup. If Dave Kluge is ever watching our stream, I love Kyler Murray as my backup quarterback. Not my starter and my backup, but I like it there. Then he took some flyers with guys like Stribling and your boy, Matt. You should get an Adonai Mitchell jersey to start the season. But overall, great drafter, great team. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, it's a solid team. I like all those running backs. Those are all like targets of mine, so it's put together well.
So Dan Jewett
got Fanning and Terrence Ferguson.
Dan Jewett said he really likes Team 5. Dan, I don't know if you realize that me and Matt were Team 5, and you're being nice. So if you didn't, that's awesome. Thank you.
He's buttering you up.
Yeah, they're gentlemen. Those 2 guys, unlike how we talk, they're gentlemen. Team 8, Jefferson, Bowers, Olave. This is. I'm trying to think of the build here. Went with the quarterback. Tyson's wide receiver 3. Bowers is kind of like a wide receiver. A lot of good picks at the top. I like this team. I think that Bowers going off and Jefferson being in a good position, this team could be really good. What do you guys think?
Same thing. I think I like a lot of the players that he took. I like the thought process. After he takes Lamar, he's got Olave and Tyson. So he takes Tyler Shuck to pair the quarterback. So when I see that, again, it's not a necessity. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's part of the rule that you got to hook up your quarterback with your receiver. But I like the thought process behind it. It's obviously somebody that's, they're thinking along the way of, how they're going to put the team together. I like Tesla, high upside guy. I like what he did. Likely, I like him. I probably would have pushed tight end back a little bit more, knowing that I had Bowers.
Yeah.
Grab another receiver.
So if yeah, I probably would have grabbed another receiver, knowing that that's probably more of like on the weaker side for the team. Because when you take Bowers and Lamar Jackson as early as they go, something's going to be weak on the team, and I'd probably say that it's the flex. So Jordan Addison or Stevenson looks like is the flex right now, and I'm not saying that that's terrible, but there's question marks there. So yeah, I would have used instead of likely, I would have trying to see here.
I mean, Trey Harris was right after him, Nelson, as a flyer. Shakir, Matt's big Jalen McMillan guy. So there are some upshot receivers that he ignored for that pick.
I would have taken one of those receivers on that team, because once you got Brees and Scatterbo in the 4-5, and then you take Stevenson, I'm focused on wide receiver. Again, he took big shots with Tesla, Flournoy. I think those guys, if the top receivers miss time, those guys could be really, really good.
Yeah,
so
they're in tremendous offenses, the two of them, right?
I do like George Halani Tucker, his late shots.
Yeah, so great team 8, team 9. So I don't know, guys, if I've seen this. 2 teams starting with 3 running back builds. I mean, Nelson, you draft more than I do, and Matt, you ever seen 2 drafts in the same? Obviously, 2 guys in the same draft starting at 3 running backs each.
I think I have. But maybe I'm just having on my brain the other format, so I don't know. But
James Cook dropping a little bit, right? Not too far, but a little bit late for him.
I'm surprised by that. I've actually seen this week. I've drafted every night, and I want to say I've seen now James Cook sneak into the second round maybe twice this week, and I'm not quite understanding why that's the case.
Yeah, so
everyone's opinion is different.
Yeah, and then
the problem's neighbors here. Like, you can't go those 3 and have a guy that has a really good shot at missing 4 to 8 games, possibly.
Yeah, and then double tap at tight end and Price. I mean, you could argue for one of the tight ends as your flex, but receiver wise, you might be starting Denzel Boston.
But once you Nelson just said Hall, Scatterbo, and Stevenson, and he was done. Once you start with those 3 big guys, those are your big guns. You shouldn't be taking like a running back till after round 10, and taking like shots. Like,
Godwin would have been such an awesome pick for him in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's some. Again, you can build it that way, but then it's really that 8th to 11th round picks where you got to be smart. And he went in some different directions.
I haven't done it often, but if I take 3 running backs, I'm not taking my 4th running back till like round 12, 13,
So let's go through the next 3 teams. We're hitting 12-15 here on the East Coast. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Rashee Rice, Jacobs, Loveland. This good value. I'm not a big – I think R.J. Harvey a little early in the 8th round, especially when you got Irving, who's a little risky. But, those top – if they produce pretty good. He waited on quarterback and got Dak. Baker as his backup. This is a. I mean, you love AJ Brown this year, Nelson. I think with him and Lamb and Rice. I mean, those could be huge producers. Jacobs is potentially can produce like a 2nd round running back. I think people are a little bit cautious on him, but I like this team. I don't love it. I like it. What do you guys think?
I think it's pretty solid. I'm not saying it's, but I think it's. One thing I would have did is, I would have went Corum over Harvey there, because that just gives you the more upside play. But I mean,
in terms of players, listen, I think the team is solid. Um, I like a lot of the players. Bucky's not a guy that I'm really like looking to target necessarily, and I'm not a big fan of Harvey. I actually watching him last year. I I don't know. I think that might have been a misstep with that pick that they made of Harvey last year. So I'm not taking him there. So if we're going to be critical of like certain picks, certain players or whatever, Bucky and Harvey are I'm not big fans of.
I like to Tyrone Tracy, whoever drafts him, Nelson, every year. I mean, with Scatabo, who could be great, but is a bit of a meathead and could get hurt. Tyrone Tracy, and again, Harbaugh's offense, they are going to run the ball in the Meadowlands, right?
Mhm.
No doubt about it. And, and Tracy could catch the ball. I kind of like Tracy's value.
But I think structurally he did a good job. I mean, his top five. I mean, Casey Concepcion's his wide receiver 5. He's got 4 solid wide receivers there. A couple of monsters up top. I mean, Jacobs is an anchor. I agree with Bucky. I'm not really on him, but I mean, where he went, I can't say it's a bad pick because he does have upside.
I just think that the way to build this team is if you go 3 wide receivers, you take your running back, and then you take Loveland. I think you got to push your RB2 back a little bit. I don't think I'm taking Bucky there. Honestly, I'm going Godwin and Ricky Pearsall
Okay.
with those picks. So I would have taken Godwin instead of Bucky, and then
I could agree with that. I mean, I love the Pearsall pick, but
and then
very high on
the
Pearsall.
8-9 turn is probably where I would have gone with my RB2, and I would have gone Quorum, and then maybe either like a Mason, a Stevenson, like a solid veteran guy, and then you take some upside with Quorum in that offense. I would have built it that way. So if we're going to be like critical of like adding our own opinion to it, like I said, it's a solid team. I just would have done some things differently.
I agree.
All right, looking at team 11, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green, yellow, green.
Yeah.
There's again, you don't usually see that. So he kept alternating his receiver set of London, Nico, Jameson Williams, and Sutton is okay. Again, London, great player, needs that quarterback play. Genty slipping a little bit to the second round. Great value. Nico in the top of the 3rd round. Nice place for him. I think I'm a Javante fan. I know Matt doesn't love him. I think he's in a great position. He's
definitely in a great position. I can't argue.
He was healthy last year, and he scored a lot of 14 touchdowns or whatever. Jameson Williams is an interesting. I don't have any of him this year. I love and hate him at the same time, right? I think somebody said on Nelson, one of your streams, like he's the guy that can give you 2 weeks of 3 points, and then the next 2 weeks.
I don't have any of them neither, but he did seem to kind of break out at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year,
Once they fired or downgraded the OC, he did come on strong at the end of the year.
So he's an interesting guy. I mean, I like the approach. Added all good players at the back end of the draft. Hurts is quarterback 1. There's no pairing there, but which is fine. Nelson, you talked about you don't necessarily have to pair, but I don't think he made any bad picks along the way. You could argue, maybe trying to push one position to be a little bit stronger, but he's got 3 good top end running backs with Genty, Williams, and Warren. I mean, Warren's like the fringe of being a top running back, but he's productive. I don't know this team. Tight end. I'm not a big Kelsey guy. I know he still produces. I think Jawan Johnson's a backup's not bad. So I mean, the team is again, it's good. It does it stand out? No, I think it's well put together. So overall, I'd say it's competitive, but didn't get any dominance in one position. He kind of went with, I'm going to spread it out.
Real quick, the slow primetime filled a little while ago. Guess what pick I got?
5.
You got it. Always get it. But I think
So
that
Nelson,
1,
what do
2,
you think
3,
of Team
4.
11 as we?
I like London. I've actually said it that Genty, I'll be willing to take him fifth overall. So for him to get him
Nice.
in the second
I had
round,
him at number 7, but I like to hear that, Nelson.
yeah. So to get him in the second round, him and James Cook, like I'll take those guys like fifth, sixth overall, like no problem. So for
What are
them
your
to
thoughts
fall in
on
the
Chase
second,
Brown, though? I know you're always a Chase Brown guy.
Chase Brown, I'm a Chase Brown guy. I'm not going to take him fifth or sixth overall,
No, yeah.
but I think that's where he belongs, where he's going. The one thing I don't like about his team is once I have Genty, Javante, and Jalen Warren, I'm not taking Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
On the team. I'm just
I'm
not doing
not
it.
taking Chuba, period, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I could be totally wrong on this.
I mean, Nelson, he bypassed at that point, right? Looking at picking Hubbard. So it's Concepcion, Worthy, Dubs. I mean,
Fanning, he could have taken. He could have tight end.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Porter, if that's your well, he had Williams, but whatever. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you want to take Goff, you could have had a little stack there.
Yeah, the way you built the team, you've got Warren and Sutton vying for the flex spot. I'm fine with the quarterbacks he has. That's actually very good pairing. I'm not a fan of Kelsey and Juwan Johnson, so I think I would have taken a tight end where he took Chuba, and I don't think it should be allowed to have Juwan Jennings and Juwan Johnson on the same team. I don't know. Like
You lead the league in Jawans.
yeah, and
spelled differently too.
I don't like that.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, the last team, went with the 2 RB start. Obviously, guys could be. You could argue, guys, that those. I mean, outside of Gibbs and Bijan, who are beasts, these next 2 guys could be in the top 3 scoring at running back this year, right? None of us will sit here and be stunned if Marion Hampton or Chase Brown or that are RB3 scorers. Then he went with 3 receivers. I'd like to get Pickens in my portfolio. I haven't found that yet, but Adams, getting a little bit older, but will be productive. Harrison is a wild card. I didn't love the Kraft pick. I thought Kraft was a little bit too early in the 7th round, personally. Burrow, it was kind of a different spot for Burrow. I usually don't see Burrow going there. I might have, did those 2 picks a little different. And then he added a ton of receiver depth. I love, we talked about Corum. We all like Corum. Monungai's not a bad guy to have. So, he put a lot of depth on the team. Some picks I wouldn't have made.
I just think if you replace Kraft with Pearsall, Godwin, or Downs, whatever your flavor is, it looks a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And then you could have got the tight end where Kyle Monangai went.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't back up Kraft, who's coming off massive injury. So I'm not, we all think Kraft is going to be healthy, but now you have no backup for him either. So granted, you go pick up a guy on waivers, but you're picking up a guy on waivers. So I don't know if I would pick Kraft that high and then not back him either. So, just some things there. I think the first 2 picks are great, first 3 picks. And then, the next bunch, I just question where and why, but, interesting players, right? You guys have all talked about Shaheed as a potential smash guy and Corum. So there's some interesting guys in his portfolio. Back in the end of the draft, Calvin Ridley, fuck him. I talked about that repeatedly. He's a piece of shit in every shape. Watch Calvin Ridley have the year of his life after we've all shit on him. That's just, poetic justice. But, guys, overall, I thought it was an interesting draft. Again, new drafters, new things.
I did like that we had new drafters. I think it did change things up.
And we're seeing, the consistent players that are in a lot of these, doing
I'll
similar
say one
things.
thing, like with our team, like for me, the Mason pick was we took our medicine there. It was for me, it was the right pick, being that we got Henderson and Tootin. And is he exciting? No, and stuff like that. But I thought it was take your medicine pick and just take Jordan Mason. I think he got some upside this year, but I don't think it's an exciting pick at all or anything like that. But I think it was the right pick.
Yeah. So there we go. I think we'll wrap it up. Nelson, thank you for joining us. First time we've been on with you. It's obviously doors always open to have you with
I've been
us.
on with Nelson plenty.
Hopefully your partner doesn't have the sniffles and comes on our next one or whatever fake illness he created tonight. But for everyone watching, so we ended up about 234 here late on a Thursday night. Not bad. Our numbers kept going up. So thank you all for watching us, all the comments, support. Nelson, tomorrow night doing his Friday Night Lights. So catch Nelson tomorrow. Are you doing that, Matt, or is it just Nelson tomorrow?
I'm probably going to go solo tomorrow. And just, I mean, Matt's been on a ton of these, and he's my right-hand man.
I have to call his agent now, Nelson, to book him too. So you might want to get his number.
Sometimes I like to do. Yeah, sometimes I do it solo just to, talk about it or whatever. As the draft is going, and just doing like my own thoughts and stuff.
I'm
excited for Vaccaro to get Vaccaro on one of these live streams.
Yeah,
I gotta get him out of vacation mode, and then I can
vacation mode. No, he's too busy rubbing elbows with stars. But for everyone, again, Nelson's live streams are great. You hear like we talked tonight about his draft process. Again, it's just ways to learn. If you're going to spend the money, you might as well listen to the pros, right? These guys do a lot of drafts and are very successful at the end of the year. Matt and I will be back on our Sunday night slot. So we're drafting Sunday night at the 10 o'clock. I saw one sign up, a very familiar guy who loves Hampton. Was the other? Yeah, I'm missing
Hampton Walker Love.
Hampton Walker Love. Thank you, Nelson. I had a brain fart there for a second. So we'll be back on Sunday night, and Matt and I may be doing a matinee next week. Or I think Thursday at 2:00, Nelson. We might be doing a live stream matinee. Thank God I run my own business. I can take an hour break and do the draft. And then we have some interest. I have some guests coming up in August. Two guys who are involved in Broncos radio will be on with me for the first couple of rounds. They both are experts with the Broncos and in the NFL. And just talking about things, around the Broncos, around the NFL, trying to get, information on certain players. One of the guys I'm having on, Benjamin Albright, years ago when I had a good year drafting, he kept saying on his show, there's this kid Pacheco on the Chiefs who no one knows about and is going to be the running back one. And he kept talking about him. I kept picking him in the 20th round. And it worked out. So it'd be cool to have some different guys on. I'm trying to find other people, but Matt and I will be, running a lot of these, and Nelson running his. So everyone, thanks for the support. Keep tuning in. Remember, board's going to keep changing, so keep watching and keep supporting the NFFC. So thank you, boys. We'll be in touch tomorrow.